This is a short video to give you a quick explanation on how to solve systems of three equations. When you have three variables you need to find, you have to have three equations. Here's an example of one. Here's your three equations that you're given. In order to solve these, you cannot work with all three equations at the same time. Work with two at a time. So first I took equations 1 and 2 and I rewrote them right here. Then I combined these and the c disappeared. So this was my new equation. Since I used equations 1 and 2, I now have to use equation 3 and I have to eliminate the exact same variable. So I'm going to use equation 3 with equation 2, which I've written right here. Add those together, the c is gone again. Now I take these two new equations and I eliminate and solve from there. So now it becomes a problem just like what you were doing, solving systems with two equations. So let's go through an entire problem. We have these three equations to start with. First thing we do is decide 2 to use first so that we can eliminate some variable. So I am going to rewrite the first equation and I am going to use the third equation. So if I put these two equations together, I am going to have 2x plus y, the z is gone, and it's going to equal 8. So this is one of my new equations. Now I go back to these three. I did not use the second equation, so I have to use this one now. So it's 3x plus y minus 2z equals 10. And I'm going to pick one of the other equations to use, and I have to get rid of the same variable. So I have to get rid of z. So I'm just going to take the first one, put that down underneath it, and take a look at it. If I were to add these two together or subtract them, I would not get rid of the z. So I'm going to have to do some multiplying first. I am going to need to put in front of this z a 2 to make it disappear. So I'm going to multiply the entire equation by 2. So my new equation is now 2x plus 4y plus 2z equals 0. Now put that with the first one. And when you combine those, you will have 5x plus 5y, the z's are gone, and it equals 10. So I have two new equations that I am working with. I have this one over here, and now I have this one. And I'm going to put the two of those together to try and solve for something. So I've got 2x plus y equals 8. Now, if I were to put this equation right here with it, I wouldn't get rid of anything. I'm going to have to change something. Well, look what happens if I were to divide all of these by 5. If I divide this entire equation by 5, I would have x plus y equals 2. Now, when I compare these, if I were to subtract these, I would be able to eliminate the y. So I'm going to subtract. And when I subtract, I would have 1x, the y's would be gone, and 8 minus 2 would give me x is 6. Once you have one answer, you find an equation that only has two variables, and you plug it into that. So I can take this 6 and plug it in up here. If I put 6 in for x up there, that would give me 12 plus y equals 8. Right? You're putting the 6 in right here. So 2 times 6 is the 12. Copy the rest of the equation. And that would mean that y is equal to -4. So now I have the x and the y. I can go back to the original equations and plug in the 6 and the -4, and I could get z. So x is 6 minus the y, which is -4, minus the z equals 8, and you could solve for z. So that's how you solve 3 equations. So once you've solved this here, you've got 6 plus 10, subtract the 10, you're going to get z is 2. So here are my 3 answers. Keep in mind you can always check to see if you have the right answer. You can take these 3 numbers, plug them into these 3 original equations, and make sure this is what you get. So if you were to do the first one, you'd have 6 plus, that would end up being -8. So 6 minus 8, -2. Plus 2 is 0, so it checks in the first one. And then you can continue to check in the other 2 to make sure you have the right answer. All right, let's go through one more. So we start off with this original. We're going to have to work with 2 at a time. So I'm going to take the first 2. I'm just going to write them over here to the right. So I have x plus y plus z equals 4. And my second one, x plus y minus z equals 2. All right, put those 2 together, add those up. We're going to have 2x plus 2y. The z's are going to be gone, and it's going to equal 6. So there's one new equation. We'll just make that red so we know that's a new one. I used these first 2. I have to use this third equation. So I have to use 2x minus y plus z equals 1. Use one of the other 2 with it, and notice over here I got rid of z. I have to get rid of the z again. So I'm going to use the second equation because the plus z and the minus z will go away. So the second equation, x plus y minus z equals 2. Okay, we put these 2 together and we now have 3x. Y's are gone and the z's are gone. It equals 3. So that's a bonus when you lose 2 of them, because right from here I can get x equals 1. So if x is 1, I can now take that 1 and plug it in over here. So I've got 2. I can plug in the 1 I just got, plus 2y equals 6. So I'm going to subtract 2. I'm going to have 2y equals 4. Y is going to equal 2. So now I have 2 answers. I've got x is 1 and I've got the y is 2. So when you have 2 of them, you go back to the very beginning and you plug those into the originals. So here are my originals right here. I plug in 1 and 2. I'm going to have 3 plus z equals 4. Well, that means I'm going to have 1. Remember my answer, I have to put in my parentheses. So it's x, y, z. And then you should check it in the other equations to make sure that it works. So here, 1 plus 2 equals 3, minus 1 equals the 2, so it works. And if I check it here, I'll have 2 minus 2 plus 1 equals 1, which is true. So therefore, this is the correct answer.